gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China.
Our next story is about China's secret project in Panama, which has frightened the United States. You must have seen the headlines. Well, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to take control of the Panama Canal, repeatedly accusing China of having control over it. And now, Panama, acting under pressure, has pledged to terminate a key deal with China. However, beyond the headlines, here's the question that has caught our attention today. What is China doing in Panama? Why has the U.S. president singled out China in his complaints about Panama? Let's understand, but first, here's the latest. On the 2nd of February, after meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Panama's President Jose Raul Mulino declared that he would not renew a 2017 MOU with China to participate in the country's Belt and Road Initiative, also known as BRI. During the meeting, Mulino said that Panama's sovereignty would remain unchanged. He also indicated that the country would focus on strengthening ties with the U.S. and increasing U.S. investments in Panama. So, what is the scale of China-linked operations along the Panama Canal? And who actually controls the canal altogether? Well, here's a little history to it now. The 82-kilometer canal, which connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, was constructed and owned by the U.S. in the early 1900s. It was ultimately handed over to Panama in 1977 under a treaty that guaranteed its neutrality. The U.S. is the biggest user of the canal, accounting for about 3/4 of the cargo that passes through it each year. What about China now? It ranks as a distant second. Still, it has its influence here. There is a port at both the ends of this waterway. Both ports are operated by a Hong Kong-based company, and this is what Trump meant when he said China is based at both ends of the Panama Canal. While Trump's remark raised eyebrows, its roots lie in a concession awarded to a Hong Kong company. Previously called Hutchison Whampoa, it was given back in 1996. And this deal granted operational rights over Balboa and the Cristobal ports to a company that ultimately became Panama Ports Company, a subsidiary of C.K. Hutchison Holdings owned by billionaire Li Ka-shing. Although the contract allowed the company to manage the ports, it did not grant them ownership. In fact, just last year, Panama extended this concession for another 25 years to the Hong Kong-based company. In 1999, the U.S. State Department reassured the public that they found no evidence to suggest that China would gain control over canal operations. And fast forward to today, and there's still obviously a palpable tension. On Wednesday, China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Nining said, and I'm quoting here, China does not participate in the management and operation of the canal and has never interfered in the affairs of the canal. However, concerns linger. Some U.S. officials and experts express skepticism about a Chinese company's substantial presence in such a strategically important region. After all, in recent years, China has been forcing nations, including Panama, to forego their ties with Taiwan in favor of diplomatic ties with Beijing. It is this move of China that has raised alarms in the U.S. Marco Rubio, Trump's Secretary of State and a noted China critic, has questioned whether such companies could act at China's behest. He has questioned whether these companies could potentially disrupt transit through the canal. Experts say that Beijing could exert pressure or even nationalize Hutchison's operations if it sees fit, particularly during a crisis. But that's not all. In 2017, China scored a major victory in Panama. Panama cut diplomatic ties with Taiwan, the self-governing island that China claims as its own. Panama had been one of the few countries worldwide that recognized Taiwan as a sovereign state. Then, the following year, Panama became the first Latin American country to sign on to the BRI, which, remember, is Xi Jinping's flagship global infrastructure program, otherwise known as China's tool of economic imperialism. Next, a flurry of promises followed. China proposed to build a 250-mile high-speed rail line from Panama City towards the western border with Costa Rica. Beijing also offered to build a new subway line in Panama City. In fact, a slew of Chinese companies even began working on a container port. And that was promised to be Panama's most modern one. Beijing was clear. It wanted to strengthen its support in Panama City. In 2018, Chinese President Xi Jinping visited Panama for the first state visit by a Chinese leader. It did not stop there. Beijing also stepped up its soft power efforts. A Confucius Institute was opened in Panama to promote Chinese culture and language. And that's when the COVID-19 pandemic hit. China donated healthcare supplies, but as China's influence grew over Panama, so did the pressure from the US for Panama to distance itself from Beijing. Could all these moves by China then be the real motivation behind Trump's new threats? It could. What does Panama say about all this? The president of Panama, Jose Raul Mulino, has denied that there is any foreign influence of the two ports in question. He says, and I quote, "The canal is and will remain Panama's, but if the events are any indication, it's become clear that the Panama Canal is not just a passage for ships. It has become a battleground of influence." And the question being, how will all this play out in the coming months? We'll have to wait and watch. Well, shifting our focus to West Asia now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will soon meet US President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C., and that's on the 4th of February. This, by the way, is Netanyahu's first foreign visit after facing an arrest warrant from the International